bones of that strategy and starts looking at various options for managing the water. That needs to be converted into an action plan and then clearly implemented. And then obviously these are evaluated and monitored over time and feed back into revising these various documents and policies. The National Water Master Plan itself, as I said, is created from a number of sources of information. So as I say, we have this GIS databases, whatever that might be, so the raw data, if you like. Then there's a number of internal reports that are produced. So for example, we have reports from the Water Demand Management Unit, who might be predicting what sort of policies they might be wanting to implement and also what sort of demands there might be in the future. And then there's external reports coming in that inform us. So for example, World Bank reports, other institutions within Jordan. So for example, Friends of the Earth Middle East have produced something recently on the Jordan Valley itself, the Jordan River itself and its rehabilitation. So all this information is taken and has helped to inform the National Water Master Plan. What we need to do is gather all this information together to make it available to people. And so, as I say, we've created this decision and information support centre, which hopefully captures and encompasses all the information that's created within the ministry and also hopefully the Water Authority and the Jordan Valley Authority. Just a quick slide on the National Water, how the National Water Master Plan is created in terms of a model that we use, which is called WEEP, Water Evaluation and Planning Tool. And this is the backbone of the National Water Master Plan, because within this, the country is divided into a number of basins, but basically we're able then to create projected water balances, looking at supply preference, demand priorities, and create a number of scenarios we can then present to decision makers, and indeed decision makers can come to us and say, what if? And we can test those scenarios and put those, if they're reasonable, acceptable, we can incorporate those into the National Water Master Plan. So as I say, the National Water Master Plan then sits within our Decision and Information Support Centre, our DISC. This is the front page. And basically it's a portal that's accessible by all people. It's a wiki-based platform, so it's available to everybody who has intranet access within the ministry. Because of its format, it's fairly easy to update, but we can look at different user rights, different access, in terms of who can read what and who can write what, and make any specific changes. And these user rights are something that we're just having to develop at the moment. Going into DISC a little bit deeper, this is basically the main contents page. So you don't need to be able to read any of this, but it's just to give you an idea of the sort of amount of information that is in there. And I've just got a number of screenshots from different pages within the DISC. If anyone's particularly interested later on, today or tomorrow, I can show them the whole of the DISC, which I've got with me, not on my computer. So if anyone's particularly interested, so there's four main aspects to this. There's the information level, which contains the important documents such as the National Water Master Plan, the Water Strategy, and any other important policy documents. And then we have the data level, which provides the access to all the data, which I talked about, so the telemetry data, the water information system. We've got links to the Jordan Valley Authority's databases. So there's a whole host of information we can access through the DISC. And then there's summaries of specific projects that are particularly important to water resources management. And this list can be expanded as and when more projects become available. And these can be entered by anyone who's, for example, running that project. They can come and enter that information into the DISC. The final section is just sort of tools and manuals about how to actually change data and enter data into DISC. So if we go back to the National Water Master Plan itself within DISC, There's a whole series of pages, so starting with just a background about the country, and then looking at that in a little bit more detail. So, for example, this is the information that's held for the Oman Zaka surface water basin. As you can see, there's a number of graphs, specific key graphs holding some key information, precipitation, topography, and so on. And then just at the bottom, oops, I'm just about to get the arrow there. Then there's links to specific documents that give a lot more information. So the idea of this is that for example, a decision maker, if they're asked for some information, or maybe some consultants coming in looking for some information, we can just print this off and they've got some quick information about the country or the surface water basin. If they need more information, they can go to those links. I talked about the water balance, which is the responsibility of the Water Information System Unit. And that water balance is then available for anyone to see for each year. Here we have a country summary, and then we can also do it by basin, by governor, at whatever level it might be. And then looking into the future, in terms of projected water balances, again, within the disk we hold information then on, for example, here this is projected water demand, given a certain trend of economic growth and certain climatic data. So we've got the average and then the range that the projected water balance is likely to fall into. So again, this is a key document that a decision maker may want to take to very senior management, to the minister, to say this is what we think is going to, the projected water balance might look like in the future, or the projected water demand. I talked about running a number of scenarios, so this would be stored within our so-called scenario library. This one's specifically looking at irrigation efficiency, but the principle is we have a storyline describing the scenario, a key result with an associated graph. It doesn't matter about the detail of the numbers, but the key parameter that's been changed for that scenario. The important thing is that also the model is stored on disk, so that if this one, for example, is looking at increasing the irrigation efficiency to a certain percentage, if someone comes along and says, well, actually, that figure is unrealistic, can we try it with a different percentage? Rather than setting up the whole model again, they can just download the model, change that factor, run it again, and store it again in the scenario library. So in terms of decision making, it's quite transparent how and where the information has come from. Within disk as well, as I said, we've got these links to the various databases. So again, using the disk front page, you can get through to the databases and you can log on then as a guest and look at certain information. The other part of it, which is allied to the National Water Master Plan, is that we can create documents, we can store documents on disk, which can be used for reference. But also, in this case, we've got the water strategy, which is already in existence. There's a link there to that document. We can read that through the disk. But then, at the moment, there's a revision to the water strategy going on, so that's in draft phase at the moment. That's also on the disk. So the idea is that people can then look at that draft strategy through the disk, and if they wish to, make some comments. There's a contact there at the bottom who could then receive comments on that document, so it can be used as a basis for discussion as well. Just in terms of the next steps of what's going to happen in the ministry and the National Water Master Plan Directorate, we need to expand some of the. We need to obviously gather as much data and more data as possible and try and improve that data, because sitting behind that, as I said, is a model. You put poor data in, you get poor results out. So we're trying to improve that. So one way that that's trying to be improved is looking at the telemetry network and improving, expanding that, and indeed upgrading the existing stations. In terms of some of the modelling work that we intend to do, we intend to link that with some more specific models that look at specific issues such as socio or economic issues, and we'll test that in one of the basins. And likewise, we'll link it to a groundwater model, which will look at more the spatial variability of the groundwater resources. The National Water Master Plan is still not completely finished. The last one was 2004. This one will be updated, and we need to finalise that with some new scenarios over the coming year. And perhaps for me, in terms of sort of transparency, in terms of sharing information and providing support to decision makers, we need to look at the Decision and Information Support Centre, this DISC, and the access to it. As I say, we can change access rights, but we can also expand access rights. At the moment, it's on the intranet, which means it's available to people in the ministry. There's no reason why it shouldn't be, in the coming years, be expanded to people within the Water Authority, the Jordan Valley Authority, other ministries, or indeed external agencies away from the government who might be able to benefit from accessing this information. So those are the longer term plans for the National Water Master Plan and DISC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We can have a few questions, if any, please.
That's easy.
Everything clear, so
so clear.
Yeah, thank you. We will bring one presentation forward from the 8th session. It will be by Dr. Rifat Abdul Wahab. His presentation will be on grey water, potential non-conventional resource for water. Please, Dr. Rifat, Dr. Rifat Abdul Wahab is Professor of Environmental Science at the National Research Center, Egypt. He is one of the leading experts in environmental science with more than 20 years experience, combining with academic and practice application. His professional competence focus on issues related to environmental management and strategy. He is actively managing and participating in many of Egypt's environmental plan, the National Water Quality Monitoring Network, Egyptian environmental sector assessment, and the preparation of Egyptian environmental initiative. Please, Dr. Rifat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to speak today about the grey water as a potential use option for water scarcity in the Middle East and the Arab countries. As an outline of my presentation, I'm going to cover, to touch water supply and demands in Arab region, water sector in Egypt, and the grey water as non-conventional water resources in Egypt, and then an innovative technologies for treating of grey water for the purpose of reuse, and of course the conclusion. As you see, the Green Economy Report at 2011 does not really make a happy reading for the Arab countries. You see the Arab countries is facing a lot of problems for water scarcity, and most of almost all the Arab countries are located under the water poverty line. We still have not had a good planning for managing water resources in Egypt, and the efficient stands even in most of Arab countries is within 30%, I must say. In addition, the pollution that pollute the water resources as well. You see, for Egyptian situation, the water supply versus demand, the demand exceed the supply by more than 20 billion cubic meter per year. The agriculture only consumed more than 80% of the water demand, and the gap shall be covered using by applying what we're calling recycling and wastewater reuse. The overall efficiency of the River Nile system is less than 70%. Here is that figure in the front of you can explain exactly the situation. in Egypt, starting from early in 18th century till the year 2025. And you see the decline of water share. The challenges that we are facing in Egypt actually focused on population growth, increase of food demand, expansion, and modernizations of industrial base, improved standard of living. So change has to come. A change, what does it mean? What I mean by change, a change in everything. A change in water management system, change in people behavior, change in laws and regulations that regulate water system in Egypt. Also, we have to seek and search for other sources, non-conventional resources, such as wastewater use, drainage water, saline water or desalination systems, and the gray water. Today I'm going to cover the gray water, since we have already conducted a 3 years research project for the treatability of gray water for reuse options. So what is gray water? هي المياه الرمادية بنسميها بالعربي. Gray water, the wastewater from the showers, bathroom, washing machine, dishwashers, and kitchen. So it's everything, any source at home other than toilets, which is called black water. The percentage of gray water is almost 60% from the consumption of a house per day. If you say the gray water quantity per person per day is equal 112 liters, which is the value is much concerning. If you have a family with 5 persons and then you calculate it, you find, that value is really considerable. Why reuse of gray water? Because reuse of gray water could reduce the load of wastewater treatment plant in terms of reduce the capital costs, reduce the energy requirements, and avoiding overlapping and minimize future expansion. Because if you see in Egypt, in Delta Egypt, I must say most, maybe all, the treatment plants, the wastewater treatment plant are already overloaded. The reuse of gray water will contribute in water conservation by reducing demand for potable water, and finally, preservation of water resources. What are the characteristics, the quality of gray water? Of course, the characteristics of gray water is different based on the sources, from laundry and dishwashers, and from bathroom and kitchen. You see, it contains bacteria, bleaches, high pH, hot water, nitrate, oil and grease, soap, and suspended solid. And if you compare it, the kitchen to laundry, you see more food particles and soup and so on, you see. And this is the data that highlight or can indicate the quality in terms of physicochemical characteristics of gray water. Gray water characteristics is ranging from a medium strength of raw sewage to a tertiary effluent. So it's fluctuated from very diluted to medium strength of raw sewage. High COD, BOD ratio, because COD means chemical oxygen demand. The pollution, the organic pollution that represented in COD, chemical oxygen demand, and BOD is biological oxygen demand. And if you look for that ratio, you see high ratio means that most of that wastewater are hardly biodegradable, because low BOD, which raise the ratio itself. Low suspended solids because of dilution, more dilution. The project that we are already finished from it in Egypt is focusing in treating of gray water using DHS, downflow hanging sponge. This is Japanese technology applied in and used in China, in India, and in Japan, and we already implemented one of pilot project in Egypt over 3 years, research project to develop the design parameters that required for full scale or scale it up. This is the downflow hanging sponge. You see, pump the sewage for the gray water to the top of the system, where is the distributor machine, and using the sponge as backing material. So DHS reactor is an innovative trickling filter with a sponge carrier, and has future of both trickling filter and biofilter. I'm going to explain and to clarify about that media, but that system is a vertical one, is a vertical system with 3 segments. Between each segment there is a space to help for self-aeration between each segment. And as well, if you see for that media, the media is a plastic, is a sponge covered with a plastic ring to just keep the sponge in the same shape, and also to prevent the compact of the sponge in the system, and allow the water, the air to proliferate between the media. To help for aeration or self-aeration without any mechanical aeration, to grow, to help for growing the microorganism in the system. Here is the mechanism. This is the sponge, and this is the septum between each segment, and you see by distributing the gray water at the top of the system, it is perforated on the sponge and is then dropped to the second segment and the third segment, and finally to the sedimentation tank, and you will get a very good effluent and a very good treated wastewater. So there is no need for external aeration. This is the quality of the effluent or the treated gray water at different hydraulic retention time and organic loading rate. We used 3 runs, starting from 11.7 hours as retention time, and organic loading rate starting from 1.9 kilogram COD per cubic meter per day. And you see here is the parameters: COD total, COD soluble, and COD particulates, and the total kildal nitrogen, total nitrogen, and ammonia, and finally fecal coliform or pathogenic organism. We select fecal coliform as indicator for biological and pathogens, and we see the 2.7 million, the count per 100 mil. We reached to residual to 300 only, and so the removal reached almost to 99.8% in terms of coliform. This is overall removal. Of course, there is removal after each segment. This is the second run, and third run. I'm going to escape it because there is figures can clarify the result much more better than the table. Here is the significant increase in DO. You see the DO, the dissolved oxygen, started from 3 ppm at the first segment and reached to 6.5 at the third segment, which is more than enough to grow microorganisms that can treat the waste water in a very good way. Here is the variation in COD total. You see the removal value is there, as this is the first run, second run, and third run, according to the detention time and organic loading rate. And you see significant removal and the residual of COD is very little. In that way, you can use that wastewater in any agricultural purposes. This also the COD is soluble, and you find most of the COD in the treated effluent is in dissolved form. And finally, the COD particulates, which indicated that most of the particulates are already removed on the surface of the sponge. So the sponges act as filtration system, beside as biological degradation using microorganisms. This is the electron microscope of the sponge with the attached biomass, which shows there is no clogging of the sponge, no backwash or replacement of the sponge. We used the same sponge over the last 5 years without no change. So the advantages of DHS, there is no need for external aeration, as you see. Much less energy required because there is no aeration needed. No clogging, no backwash, easy to maintain, much less amount of excess sludge because much of the sludge is already digested, and also prevented from to go down in the sedimentation tank on the sponge surface. Also, of course, because it's a vertical system, more land is required, so less land required. And comparing to activated sludge, it's high performance comparing to the conventional treatment methodology, as I said, activated sludge process. The conclusion, since in Egypt, the water demand exceeds supply, so the gap is overcoming by recycling of water and wastewater. Actually, this not, there's some mistake in it because not yet, till yet, there is no gray water already separated in Egypt, but it is considerable to be considered in the future. Gray water has more organics, less nitrogen, lower salt, more indicator organism, and they could achieve substantial water saving. DHS could be a good model for wastewater use, especially the gray water. Gray water recycling is high, cost-effective solution for water scarcity, and recognized as a tool to increase the water supply if properly managed in water scarcity area like Arab countries. Investment of grey water treatment system and install such system for the new apartment complex, mosques, schools, and the public building is highly recommended in Arab country. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yes, we can have few questions, please. Yes.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مهندس عبد الله عواد من مصر، شركة سينا. دكتور رفعت، سعادتك الحاجات اللي ذكرتها كويسة، لكن ايه الاسباب اللي بتوصلني تخلي الجراي ووتر المياه الرمادية دي تزيد؟ يعني سعادتك ذكرت وشرحت تفصيلي، بس النقطة اللي ناقصة هي برامج التوعية. ايه اللي بتوصلنا للمراحل؟ في فجوة فعلا في الدول العربية ما بين ما هو متاح وما هو مطلوب. برامج التوعية سعادتك دي أساسية، دور منظمات المجتمع المدني، دور الإعلام، دور الفرد، دور وهكذا. لم تتعرض سعادتك إلى ذكر هذا الموضوع يعني.
هي اللي بالنسبة للجري ووتر طبعا يعني لابد ان لو عايزين نشتغل على نطبق الجري ووتر بوليسي في اي بلد في مصر، في اي مكان في الدول العربيه، لابد تبقى على مستوى الحكومات، لان ديت محتاجه مشروعات قوميه. مشروعات قوميه في ازاي نفصل الجري ووتر من بلاك ووتر في السيستمز في حد ذاته، في سيستم البلامبنج، في عمليه البلامبنج في حد ذاتها. فبالتالي محتاجة تشريعات وقوانين على مستوى الدولة، مش
اوكي. اوكي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. المهندس جلال السايح، مصر، البحر الأحمر. كنت عايز أسأل حضرتك بالنسبة للجري ووتر، هل تم بالفعل استخدامه في بعض الدول وفي احصاءات عن كميات الميه اللي حصلنا عليها فعلا من الجري ووتر ولا لا؟ الحاجه الثانيه، لو عايز استخدم الجري ووتر لابد من شبكات معينه ليه، يعني بمعنى ان كل المساكن القديمه مش هينفع استخدم منها الجري ووتر، فهل ممكن اعمل شبكات ليها مثلا في المدن الجديده مع شبكات الصرف الصحي جنبا الى جنب ام لا يعني؟
هو طبعا المنظومه كلها زي ما قلت لحضرتك محتاجه ان هي يعاد تصميمها بشكل انك تقدر تفصل الجري ووتر من البلاك ووتر اللي هو التواليت. بفيما يخص انه مستخدم بس مستخدم في دول، يعني في سويسرا بيستخدموا الجري ووتر وفاصلين الجري ووتر من البلاك ووتر في معظم البابليك بيلدينج، المدارس والجامعات والمنشآت الحكوميه، وحتى فاصلين كمان مش بس كده، فاصلين في بعض الاماكن اللي زي الجامعات على مستوى الريسيرش فاصلين البلاك ووتر اليورين من الفيسز نفسها، بحيث ان نعمل ريكفري الفوسفور والنيتروجين من اليورين او فدي. ولكن طبعا على مستوى العرب كانتريز يعتبر اتس ان ايديا جود ايديا، اتس ا جود سورس اوف ووتر and it يعني it's really need to be recognized and to be considered since you are facing the water scarcity in Egypt and in most of, as I explained in my presentation.
Thank you.
Just in terms of the question of whether grey water recycling is happening elsewhere in the region, there's certainly some going on in Jordan, for example. GIZ have been involved in looking at projects in some new builds, for example, in some of the hotel complexes where the grey water recycling is taking place. It's not the sponge system that you were referring to, but there are some projects going on, and there's some investigation into introducing grey water recycling systems into some of the social housing projects as well. A lot of this is new build. Retrofit is clearly much more difficult.
Thank you. Yes.
أول شيء شكرا على جهودكم والسلام عليكم. الحاجة بالنسبة للجري ووتر، حقيقة يعني أنت أرجيتنا البي أو دي والسي أو دي والديفرنس. هلا المشكلة الأكبر اللي ممكن تنشأ إذا نجحنا نجاح ببيج سكيل، ايه راح يصير على التريتمنت بلانت اللي اوريدي بيجيها بي او دي او مصمم على بي او دي معين. يعني اذا انت اليوم كل الجري ووتر راح يصير البي او دي والسي او دي تبع البلاك ووتر كثير عالي. ثاني شيء احنا يعني خضنا تجربه عمرها 10 سنين عندنا بنابلس في فلسطين، في 10 مدارس فصلنا بيناتهم، لكن اعيد استخدام الجري ووتر للزراعه. طبعا ايضا هناك مشاريع الان تنفذ بالتعاون مع الجي اي زد في فلسطين في مدارس اللي بالقرى على اساس عمليه توفير، وبالتالي توفير الزراعه. وحتى اعيد استخدام بعض هذه المياه الرماديه اللي بنسميها، اعيد استخدامها للنيجارات، بمعنى انه المشارب الطلاب تؤخذ، يعني حتى يعني مشارب الطلاب لحال، المغاسل طبعا فيش صابون كثير لحال، تؤخذ وتعاد استخدامها للفلاشنج تبع المراحيض. السؤال
يعني فعلا هي بالنسبه للبابليك بيلدينج زي المدارس والاماكن دي ما بقاش فيها نسب صابون وما بقاش فيها ديش ووش فيها كده، فالجراي ووتر بيبقى easy to treat and easy to reuse even for drinking, so it's a good source of water. يعني it has to. بالنسبه للمحطات السؤال البيوريا هتزيد ايه؟
تزيد ترتفع.
اعلى بكثير من التصميم تبع المحطه. كيف راح نعالج هاي المساله؟ انا
لا
بحكي
لا، هو انت دلوقتي ما ينفعش ان انت تميكس.
نو ام نوت ميكسينج. هلا كله بروح عماله ببلد، اي بلد تخيلها، كله عم بروح على الويست،
على السنترال تريتمنت بلانت،
او الجراي ووتر مع البلاك ووتر عم بيعملوا بي او دي سي او دي معين. الان اذا قمت الجراي ووتر راح البي او دي سي او دي يعلى بشكل انه ممكن يقتل المحطه.
ما هي ما هو انا دلوقتي يعني انا لما بفصل الجراي ووتر بالطبع زي ما حضرتك بتقول هيكون عندي مور سترينث سويج. مور سترينث سويج في سيستمز اوريدي في هولندا بتبقى اوريدي ديزايند دلوقتي. السيستم اللي عملوه اليو اس بي فور اكزامبل ده ديزايند ان هو تو تريت هاي لود، وبالتالي المنظومه كلها على بعضها هتتغير. ما ينفعش ان انا اصمم فور اكزامبل هاي لود with less dilution for محطه معالجه باستخدام الاكتيفيتد سلاج مثلا في الحاله دي، فهغير المنظومه المعالجه في حد ذاتها. وبالتالي زي ما بقول ان منظومه الجراي ووتر مع البلاك ووتر لابد انها تبقى منظومه متكامله انتجريتد.
Thank you. I think it's better we proceed for the coffee break. We are already late, and I would like to conclude, and maybe you can have discussion later with him. I thank all speakers for being with us, and thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.